Ohio State's defensive reload is on the verge of a major boost.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Hump Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. During today's show, we'll dive into another departure from the Buckeyes basketball team, as well as an unlikely target for Brian Hartline. But first, the Buckeyes are determined to use a spring portal window to acquire guys that fill holes in the roster and guys that can play right now. Not just guys that can play, but you might be able to find a starter or two during this window of the portal. And Ohio State is predicted to land Bo Atkinson, formerly of North Carolina. He's an edge defender. This is coming from Pete Nakos and Steve Wiltfong of On3. And when those two guys are predicting the same thing about one player, it's probably going to happen. And Bo Atkinson is not coming to Ohio State to simply join the rotation. He's coming in to potentially start. And there is a spot for a guy that's as experienced as Atkinson to come to Ohio State and start right away. And Bo Atkinson's a guy at 6'6", about 260 plus pounds. I have the number here previously, 265 at 6'6". Played a couple years at North Carolina, got better and better in his first couple of years there. He is a guy that, while at 265, you know how Larry Johnson likes to use those guys that have that frame that Bo Atkinson has. Hey, man, go on there and slide on down to 3-tech. You're getting a versatile guy, a guy that can be multiple, a guy that's going to fit what Matt Patricia wants on the defense, a guy that's going to fit what Larry Johnson wants on the defensive line. He checks so many boxes, but I think his experience at North Carolina and a guy that was sought after by Georgia, sought after by a lot of the big-name schools in the sport, Ohio State had a visit from him on Monday. And now that was coming on the heels of a visit from Atkinson to go to Georgia. So you know either you're right after the visit to Athens, you have to knock it out of the park. And it's easier said than done. There are things that Ohio State can do in certain visits that are different than others because they just won the national championship. And so Ryan Day realizes what's at stake right now. It's not just acquiring a really talented guy from the portal. It is making your roster better after spring ball, and so much better that you're going to be able to potentially win back-to-back national championships for the first time in school history. Yes, it's easy. That's easier said than done. It's never been done in Ohio State history, and it's only been done 4 or 5 times in college football history. It's not something we see. And so for Ohio State to be in a situation right now on defense where you're losing 8 of your 11 starters, I believe all the guys that left the Buckeyes defense a year ago that are now going into the draft, they're going to get drafted. And so you take that into account too. What's left on the D-line? Really talented guys that are inexperienced. Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson Jr., Caden McDonald, Edric Houston, 4 really talented guys. Some of them have been program guys, been there 3 and 4 years, man. They bought into everything that's going on at Ohio State, and they believe this is their time, which is great. But some of them may not be better, specifically Jackson Jr. and Curry, than Bo Atkinson. Now, Bo Atkinson was in the ACC, and last year the ACC was not up to par with the Big Ten. But the one thing you know is he's going up against future NFL offensive linemen every single game. And even in practice, you're going up against guys that are going to get drafted into the National Football League. So while his competition week in and week out from the totality of a team, it wasn't the greatest, his individual reps prepared him for the moment. And I don't think you get this far with Wiltfong and Nakos making this type of projection and prediction for Atkinson unless there wasn't a lot of traction for this to happen. And if this does happen, if the predictions are correct, you're looking at an Ohio State defensive line that instantly gets better. And we've been talking a lot about the quarterback competition and competition on the offensive line. We're going to talk more about the defensive end conversation because the portal doesn't close until Friday. And it wouldn't shock me if Atkinson transferred in if a player transferred out. Why? Because if Atkinson's coming in, he's going to play. He might even start. So what does that mean for the other guys? Primarily Jackson, Jr., and Curry. One of them isn't going to start. And as much as I like Caden Curry as a player, it's hard for me to see Jackson Jr. getting jumped in the depth chart by Bo Atkinson, because I think that might be Caden Curry. And it's tough, man. The kid that I've been personally watching since he was, a sophomore in high school. Learned a lot about him by watching him play. Even in some big games, he brought the juice. He's brought the juice out of Ohio State. Been a program guy. He's been someone that's been a straight special teams player for a lot. He makes plays all the time. He's blocked a punt. And he's just a straight playmaker. So I'm not trying to sit up here and say that Caden Curry is trash. I don't think that at all. I just have a hard time thinking Atkinson's going to come in and then he's going to jump Keanu Jackson Jr. I think Jackson Jr.'s frame is more built for the National Football League. His length, his size, his speed off the edge, his bendiness. I think that fits him. So my prediction could be wrong. I would love for it to be wrong, but I don't know. I do know that what we're having right now, what Ohio State's currently doing, is right. The Buckeyes are on the right path because you got to be able to go out there, find guys in the portal that are going to challenge the guys currently on your roster to see who comes up and rises to the top. Now, if you got all three guys in this conversation, if all three of them are near the top and they're neck and neck with each other, but they're still head and shoulders above the rest, then you have a whole lot of versatility. And I don't see a scenario where Atkinson comes in and he gains 20 pounds to move down to the three tech. I don't see that scenario at all. But I think when you have a guy in Atkinson who last year at North Carolina had 35 tackles, 7.5 sacks. A year before that, his freshman year in North Carolina, had 19 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. You think about those numbers in totality in the first 2 years that he played college football, what are you going to find? He did great things at North Carolina. The expectation would be he would continue that same level of play at Ohio State. And the fact he's coming in with 7.5 sacks, it means he knows how to get around the edge. Not only setting the edge in the run game, but also knowing how to get around the edge and bend a little bit and do some things that some Ohio State defensive ends that were at Ohio State a year ago, not saying no names, you might know who I'm talking about. He does that better. And you want guys that know how to brush the passer. One of my biggest complaints, and probably yours as well, with Ohio State's defensive ends over the past 5 to 6 years, is that they don't rush the passer as other elite defensive ends do. I think Tuimoloau could. We've seen him do it before. It just wasn't consistent. Jack Sawyer, a little bit stiffer. Now, he did get around and get that scoop and score against Texas in the playoffs. So, yes, he did finally get around the edge. At that point, what did he do? His very own power rush, beat the tackle. Oh, get your former teammate on the ground, get that ball, and you skedaddle 80-plus yards on the right sideline in front of your teammates to go ahead and score that big-time touchdown in the national semifinal. That's what he did. And what Bo Atkinson might do is wear the scarlet and gray, wear it proudly, and fit in perfectly with what Matt Patricia wants to do with the Buckeyes defense. While Patricia has plans for the defense, Hartline has plans for the offense, and he might tap into the portal to get an unlucky target to accomplish his goal. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now, I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank y'all for tapping the Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing Ohio State's done very well this offseason is figure out a way to make every player focus on the details, the little details that are major on the football field. And while doing that in spring ball, after the spring football session concluded, you realize that Ohio State still needed more. Needed more defensive linemen, maybe some more O-linemen. But never in my mind did I think that Ohio State would go after a returner that also plays wide receiver. But Brian Hartline's doing just that. And it's the unlikely thing that he would do it. But Hartline realizes, and Ryan Day realizes, we might have to go somewhere a little bit different to get the things that we want. The receiver's name, the young man's name is Keelan Marion. A guy is an All-American at BYU. He has 19 schools currently after him right now. And in his career, he's totaled 76 catches, 1,100 plus yards, and 12 total touchdowns. He has 38 kick returns for 881 yards and 3 touchdowns. And when I say the kick return numbers, you will understand a whole lot more why this young man has 19 schools going after him. Some of them, just name a few: Tennessee, Florida State, Miami, Colorado, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, USC, Syracuse, Kentucky, Arizona State, Virginia Tech, UCLA, Mississippi State. I didn't name them all. I just named a whole bunch of them on this list because that will help you get a great sample size and a great picture about the type of returner this young man is. Because I don't think Hartline's going out there to get a receiver in the portal to come in and play with the Jeremiah Smith, a Tate, and Ennis, a Rogers, a Graham. I don't think he's going out there to try and do that. But if you're able to go out there and get a guy that is specifically a returner, why not do it? As unorthodox as it is for Hartline, sometimes you got to think outside of the box to accomplish your goals. And I think Ryan Day realized, especially after Caleb Downs ran a punt return back last year, you got to continue this trend of getting big-time returns. Now, my only pushback for this is I'm normally a guy that understands wholeheartedly why. I understand why Hartline's going after him. I understand why he got offered. I 100% get it. My only pushback would be, do you need to use that scholarship on him, or could that scholarship go to somebody else? That's my thought. Because I think you have enough returners at Ohio State that you don't need to go out there and get this young man. However, maybe this is a sign that Marlon Graham's going to play a bigger role with the offense than many people expected him to. Because I have a hard time believing that he's going to jump Bryson Rogers or maybe be the 5th receiver, and Hartline's going to use 5 receivers this year in a normal rotation when he doesn't do that on a consistent basis. The last receiver coach at Ohio State prior to Hartline was Zach Smith, and that was a Zach Smith staple to use 4 to 6 receivers every single game. It wasn't just game specific to use that many. No, your playing time would be dictated by this matchup for that weekend. But all the time it was 5 receivers playing here, 6 there. But what did it do? It caused the defense to have to prepare for a whole lot more guys. They couldn't really focus on trying to tap into the tricks of the trade to slow down a great receiver. No, that wasn't possible. And I get it. When I think about returns at Ohio State, I got Ennis, I got Graham, Turbo Rogers, Caleb Downs. Not in that order. While Turbo Rogers is a freshman, I don't think he's going to have the trust of the coaches to go deep and return punts or kickoffs. I also don't think you're going to put Caleb Downs deep to return punts that often. He didn't do it that much at Alabama. He didn't do it that much at Ohio State a year ago. So I'm not going to say it's going to happen consistently, but if it does, great. But if it doesn't, you still got Marlon Graham. You still have Turbo Rogers. You still got Brandon Ennis. 3 guys that can get the job done in the return game. Do I think any of them are as an elite of a returner as this young man is? No. Also, I don't know. I think Marlon Graham has the opportunity to be. I don't think Brandon Ennis would be. I don't think Caleb and Trevor Rogers, I literally have no idea. I have no idea. He has not stepped on the field for one regular season football game yet, so your boy has no idea. I do have an idea, though, as to why Hartline is doing this now and why this could be a trend moving forward. If there's a guy in the portal that can come in and instantly be a returner at a high level, I think you might find that Hartline does that more than you think. Now, for this year specifically, I don't know if it's needed because I do think Ohio State has guys there. But let's just say it's like it was the year before last, where Jaden Ballard was back returning kickoffs and punts and had some issues there, and Emeka Buka at times. And I think it was this past year they tried Travion Henderson returning kickoffs. So I'm thinking, no, absolutely not. The man's vision as a running back isn't the best. Why in the world would you want to put him in the open? Oh, I know you don't put him in the open field. What about trying to find the hole right there in that little crease to get through it? Yeah, he has the speed to do it. Will he do it consistently? I don't know. I hope this works out. I genuinely hope this works out because I think you're going to find Ryan Day as rev share becomes a thing here soon, and as the NIL continues to be exactly what it is, you're going to find teams like Ohio State to go out there and trying to find guys like this. A diamond in the rough, a gem, a guy that was in the Big 12 a year ago, but maybe has more in the tank to do bigger things in a new school in the future. I hope this happens because it's not fun watching a team play football that struggles to return kickoffs and struggles to return punts. It's not fun at all. But what is fun is finding guys that can do that very well. Now, the immediate thought in my head as I was talking about this young man and we were talking about going deeper on him as a player was thinking about Dante Hall, the former Chiefs returner that was solely a returner. Yeah, he played receiver a little bit, but we all know Dante Hall, the human joystick, by what he did on the football field as a returner, and he was zigging and zagging and finding the crease, and scoop, he's up out of there. It was fun to watch. Now, I don't know if Marion's going to be the same type of returner. I'm not going that far. But he's a specialist. Every football team has specialists. Your punter, your kicker, your long snapper, your quarterback, your set. You have specialists. And you need specialists on your football team like Keelan Marion. One thing that Diebler had to work on is trying to find guys that are specialists because another player that was on the Buckeyes basketball team a year ago has now entered the transfer portal. I'll tell you who that is next. Thank you all for tapping in the Locked On Buckeyes, making this show your first listen of the day. I hope that there's no issues with the video today. The StreamYard has been lagging in a really big way. It normally doesn't lag at all, but I hope that the recording today is up. Thank you all for tapping on Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. It's been quite a while since we talked basketball in a full Locked On Buckeyes show because normally when that happens, it's about something that is immediate and we're not going to wait to post a shorter show later in the day. No, it's needed to come out when the main show drops on that particular day. It's the same thing right now for Ohio State. As Ohio State's lost 4 guys to the portal, Michi Johnson, Austin Parks, Evan Mahaffey, 5, Aaron Bradshaw, and now Sean Stewart. Sean Stewart was a guy that transferred in from Duke after his freshman year, spent 1 year at Ohio State, didn't really do the best of work in the Scarlet and Gray, a guy that came in with a lot of promise and people that were looking at his high school recruiting rankings to say that he should play like a 5-star during his sophomore season there at Ohio State. And unfortunately, he didn't. His numbers, he started 30 games a year ago. Sean Stewart played 18.4 minutes a game, averaged 5 points and 5 rebounds on 54.2% shooting. Field goal percentage is not bad at all. He made half of the threes that he shot. He was poor from the free throw line. But I don't think it's really the biggest thing for him. Diebler went out there and brought in Christoph Tilley. And Christoph Tilley is 7 foot, 240 pounds, an athletic freak for his size. A guy that can put the ball on the court, dribble around you, yam that thing in, He's a stretch 4 or a stretch 5, and he has the smoothness of a European player. And maybe Sean Stewart saw the competition come in and took him a little bit longer to decide if he wanted to stay at Ohio State or go somewhere else. And ultimately, it's go somewhere else. But you're about to go into your third school in 3 years. That doesn't look good. A lucky thing for him is NBA teams are going to try to figure out everything that happened and why you made those decisions. You also have to work yourself and play up to get there. Because right now, Sean Stewart ain't getting drafted. Absolutely not. He ain't done nothing good enough to get drafted. Ohio State's brought in some guys from the portal. Gabe Cupps from Indiana. Christoph Taylor, we just mentioned. He's from Santa Clara. And then Brandon Noel, a wing. I forget the school he's from. But they got solid guys. Cupps is the only one that's, to me, a question mark. He got hurt. He was hurt a year ago. I believe a meniscus injury last year in Bloomington, Indiana. And now he's coming back home to play for the Ohio State University. I got no idea what the young man's going to do. Absolutely not. His freshman year at Indiana, he didn't play that well, didn't really play the best. To say he's going to come in and average 10 on 42.5% shooting, I can't do that because I don't have the data to make a prediction like that. But Diebler's got some work to do. And I made a comment recently. I'm going to go over this once again in regards to every single off season. My dad and I have a conversation every year talking about the Pacers or the Lakers or whatever team they come up and say, what guys are not movable? You think about it. On the Indiana Pacers right now, Tyrese Halliburton, he ain't going nowhere. Miles Turner, he going to retire a Pacer. He ain't going nowhere. There may be 2 or 3 other guys, maybe guys on the Cavs, they're not going anywhere. Why? Because they're what you're trying to build around. Or they've been around for so long, trying to do everything you can and make it a lifetime achievement of them to play for that franchise for a very long time. And for Ohio State this year, there were a few guys that you're not moving at all. Bruce Thornton, no. John Mobley Jr., no. Devin Royal, no. But literally everybody else can go. Why? Because they haven't proven themselves enough to show that they're worthy to stay at Ohio State. And if you have to have a tough conversation and they believe the best place for them is to go elsewhere to play college basketball, you got to realize it's just free agency in collegiate athletics. For our entire lifetimes up until a few years ago, it was not the free agency like it currently is in college athletics. Yeah, the portal's always been a thing, but there were rules and guidelines, and if you transferred, you had to sit out a full season. And my brother was one. He played at Thomas More. I believe it was a D3 school right there where Ohio and Kentucky meet. It was right there in that portion of those two states. And so my brother played at Thomas More, ended up transferring up to, I believe then it was called D1 AA, that level, playing for the Butler Bulldogs. My brother transferred up. He moved back home. He was playing with some of his buddies from high school, but what did he have to do? He had to sit out a year because that's the rule. And so right now, with the college basketball free agency, the portal's still open. And Diebler's not having not only working to bring guys in, you got to work extra hard to keep your roster together, but also realizing if somebody wants to walk, it may be what's best for the team. And this is not me saying Sean Stewart is trash. I really enjoyed watching this young man play basketball. Do we know about any off-the-court issues? No. Do we have none? Was he a hustler? Yes. Was he the scorer that you thought he was going to be? No. Did he grab as many rebounds as you thought he was going to? No. But what's college basketball about? Development and learning life lessons and more development and more of learning those life lessons. And for Ohio State right now, losing 5 guys to the portal, those are guys that you can kind of live without. Meechie Johnson's a tough one. Mental health issues. He's going to play 6 years in college basketball. Only going to be playing for 2 schools, transferring twice. It's one of the weirdest things, but I understand why he left Ohio State in the middle of the season and even now after the season. Mental health is weird, man. Mental health is pretty scary. He did it. Bradshaw's gone, Mahay's gone, Parks is gone, Johnson's gone, Stewart's gone. They're gone. And that's going to help Diebler make a roster that's more fitting for him. Now, I say that knowing that Stewart was brought in by Diebler. Bradshaw was brought in by Diebler. Mahaffey was a Chris Holtmann regime. Austin Parks and Meechie Johnson were the Holtmann regime. I know Meechie's weird because he came in under Holtmann and then he came back under Diebler. So, like, I want to put a lot of that on Holtmann. But you can live without these guys. As a coach, you have to realize that there may be guys that are going to come in, there may be guys that go, but ultimately, no matter if they come or if they go, you can make the ultimate decision about what's right for you and what's right for the program. I firmly believe that the Buckeyes basketball team will be better next year. Will it be good enough to make the NCAA tournament? It should be, but if the competition's better, will they rise to the occasion? We got to wait and see. I'm not here to say yes or no with this basketball team because I know that I'm sitting here on a hump day trying to be positive about a very unfortunate situation with this team. Stewart's gone. Bradshaw's gone. Mahaffey's gone. Parks is gone. And Johnson is gone. Buckeyes will be just fine. A lot of us that were sitting there scratching our heads and maybe wanted to throw a hat at the TV because of how frustrating it was to watch that basketball team play at times. Based off of things that we've seen from Diebler in the portal already, he has the right idea about how to build the team, but also go get more guys. Go get more bigs specifically. You got the guards. You got the wings. Go get more bigs. Why do certain teams go and have deep tournament runs? Yes, you have to have a great lead guard to do so. You got to have shooters to do so. You got to be really good on defense to make a late run like that. But also, you got to be able to have the bigs. Ohio State struggled in that department. I'm sitting there watching Felix Alparo play for Tennessee. I'm thinking, why didn't he stay? Oh, because he wasn't developed like he should have been. Also, money talks. It's Tennessee. And they were the school that got caught handing out McDonald's bags full of money to recruits or recruiting visits. Why would I not think they're out here paying basketball players to leave the previous school to go play there in Knoxville? Or why would I think they're not out here doing things they shouldn't do? That's what the nature of this game is with certain schools. Sean Stewart being gone is not the end of the world. Diebler has more work. I hope Diebler gets more bigs. Not saying you don't start Christoph Tilley, but if you have a 7-footer and a guy that's 6'9", think about how much fun that's going to be to watch. But also, let's just say Tilley starts at center, Royal starts at the 4, Noel starts at the 3, and then you have a backcourt of John Mobley Jr. and Bruce Thornton. That, my friends, would be a lot of fun to watch. Thank y'all for tapping the Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Wednesday and making this show your first listen of the day. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. It's been Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Wednesday. We'll see you next time.